Yo, yo, what is going on, my fellow hip hop heads? Welcome to a brand new week and welcome to a brand new edition of what we like to call the Shifting the Culture podcast, where we talk about the different artists, events, controversies, and all that shit in between that center around this world we know and love as hippity hip hop. I am your host, the vegan you believe in, Konscious Kurt, aka the Professor in the Flesh, as always, coming to you from my new neck of the woods, the New York, New Jersey area. And my co-host himself needs no introduction, but he's gonna give y'all one anyway.
Yo, what's good, world? This is King Khan, aka the Evil Genius, live and direct once again. It's been a minute, but we're back. Back and a lot has changed since the last time we've been on.
Yes, and one of those big changes that happened was actually me changing locations. I officially now live in the New York, New Jersey area, and after being back here for 5 days, I gotta say it feels damn good to be back.
Nice. Well, I'm glad to hear that you're back up there, up top.
Yes, I know winter I'm gonna have to deal with at some point, but we'll cross that bridge when we get to it. But I gotta say it feels good to be back home. That's the best way I could put it. Home.
Well, that's dope. And yeah, I'm glad you made it back, finally back to NY, man. Hopefully, get the chance to eat at some good vegan spots and get
Oh
to,
yeah.
enjoy the city. So,
Yeah, I get to eat at some good vegan spots. I currently work at one now for the time being. And yeah, I'm just ready to start living again. That's the biggest reason why I decided to make this move is because I love Atlanta. Atlanta's a great city. I have nothing but love for it. But just something there just never clicked. It just never really felt like home for whatever reason. It just never did.
okay. Didn't you get a chance to go to any concerts or anything while you were out there? Since you've been up there so far?
I've only been here for about 5 days. I actually did go to a concert on Wednesday.
Okay, how was that?
It was great. I actually went to go see this group called OMA. They're from Manchester, England. And they're basically a band that does the instrumentals of like popular hip hop songs and perform them live. Basically, they perform the instrumental for Shook Ones, for New York State of Mind, for Cream, all like the popular hip hop hits. Like there's like just too many of them I
Nice.
can't even name right now. But yeah, they were busting out all of them and they killed it. They were fucking great.
Yeah, I seen them. I followed them on Instagram, so yeah, they're pretty dope, man. Glad you got a chance to check them out live and direct. How long was their set for? How long they performed for?
Maybe like about 40 minutes. They also played with the closing act. Like this dude who was closing the show, they were the band for him. I didn't really stay for that
Oh,
part
okay,
so
that's
much, but
dope.
I like stayed for their main set. But yeah, their main set was fire, son. Those dudes are legit.
That's dope. Yeah, they've been blowing up, so yeah, we'll see what happens, man. But it's dope that they're blending different genres of music together and making a dope sound for themselves. So, shouts out to them.
Yeah, there's nothing like live music, especially a band like that. Yeah, that shit takes a lot of talent. Like that's real music to me. Like that shit.
Yeah, that's dope, man. Glad you got a chance to check it out.
Yeah, shout out to Ben Rockmani for booking the tickets and taking me there. Yeah, it was a good time.
That's what's up.
Speaking of old school hip hop, I know LL Cool J released his most recent album this past weekend.
Oh yeah, he did. He finally came out, dropped it. I know he's been talking about it for a couple years now.
Yeah, The Force. It's his first album in about a decade. I actually got the chance to listen to it earlier today. It was solid. It was enjoyable. Enjoyable way to spend 45 minutes.
Yeah, it's pretty solid. Has some highs and lows. Experimenting with different sounds, and it was. I think Q-Tip produced like the whole album for the most part. So, no, it was pretty solid. LL was, spitting. It sounded like LL 4321 LL. Like that was the kind of vibe that I got from him, but because he was going in on some of those tracks, so and it kind of sounded like even Nas maybe influenced the track, or like even maybe even co-wrote or wrote one of the Ghost wrote one of the tracks for him, because that song Passion, I don't know if you close your eyes and listen to that song and you think of Nas, like picture Nas like spitting those rhymes, I don't know, to me it just sounds like Nas was heavily involved in that track. So I don't know if you felt that way, but yeah, definitely go back and listen. But other than that, man, I felt like it was a solid album. Had some good features. Snoop, Ross, Fat Joe, Nas, Eminem. The Eminem track was pretty dope. So we got some good joints on there, and it's dope to see like the older hip hop artists still out here doing their thing. These 40 years into the game, and he's still dropping albums, and still a solid album, and it's good to see that he's still back out here promoting it and doing his thing. So shouts out to LL.
Yeah, it was a solid effort. Great collabs, great production. And even he said himself that his last album just like didn't click because of the fact that he was too distracted. He was working on an NCIS show at the time, so that kind of took away from like him focusing on that. And I remember like his last major thing was like maybe in 2008, that Exit 13 album with that like I'm Your Baby song with the Dream. Yeah, that was like the last I really heard from him, like really as far as like relevant like big hits up until now. And I'm glad to see that he bounced back from that too, because I remember like not really liking his style like around that point, but it feels like now he's back in his element.
Yeah, for real. But yeah, shout out to them. Like I said, man, it's dope to see these artists, 40 and older, like Common, Nas, LL, still doing their thing and still making good music. So, it shows these younger artists that if you stay solid and you talk about real stuff, and you have lyrics, you can, stay around for a while.
Yeah, and you can be commercial. You can have some shit that has commercial appeal without trying to be commercial.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, it's dope to see him doing his thing.
Yeah, and also another thing that dropped last week that was very interesting was the Club Shay Shay interview with Marlon Wayans.
Yeah, that was pretty dope. Good
Looks like DJ
interview.
Vlad fucked up big time.
Yeah, he did. He's definitely not. Yeah, I don't know
Looking
why
too
he's
good
still
right
accepted.
now.
I don't know why he's still accepted. Why people do interviews with him, but I guess people need to get the money however they can.
Yeah, honestly, with DJ Vlad, the most appealing thing about him is just the people he gets to interview. It's not really so much him, especially considering the fact that he never shows his face, like while he's interviewing his subjects. But yeah, I always just like the people he would book for his interviews. I always found that fascinating. But it looks like there's some other shady stuff about him behind the scenes. Everybody's accused him of being a culture vulture.
Yeah,
Yeah, for many reasons, he's just not very well liked by certain people
he's
in the
talk
culture.
mad shit about Nas, saying that he chooses bad beats, and he's
I
talked
mean, I've
about
heard that before. He's not the first person I've heard say that.
yeah, and he's talked about like some people say that he's like the feds, like what happens in his interviews gets used in court or cops try to use it against people. So I don't know, man. He's just not really accepted right now in the culture.
And also, every time like he really interviews somebody, he kind of feels like he's trying like to dig into like their like shady past, or like dig into like
Yeah,
some shit that might get them in trouble, like some crime criminal shit. I do
yeah,
hear people criticize him a lot for that.
yeah. Like kind of like a detective trying to interrogate somebody and get some information out of them. So yeah, that's kind of the vibe. But yeah, he messed up with this one because he said that Marlon could only pull like 100K to 300K views, and I think like the Shay Shay or Marlon interview did like a couple million in a day or two. So yeah, kind of blew that prediction out of the water for DJ Vlad, and yeah, he probably wishes that he would have did that interview. But actually, I think Club Shay Shay was a better platform because he understood his history and he was able to ask some good questions. So I felt like he's a better interviewer than DJ Vlad.
Yeah, that's one thing I will say about Shanon Sharpe. One thing I give him props for: he always asks good questions. You can definitely tell he did his
Yeah, it was
homework,
dope to see.
and that he does his homework for all of his interviews.
Yeah, and then it's good to see like Marlon. He was kind of serious in this interview. He wasn't like really he cracked some jokes, but he wasn't like overly over the top like he normally is. But it's good to see them like he's more mature and yeah, he definitely deserves like his flowers because not only him but his whole family they've put in a lot into the comedy game with their movies, their parody movies, their In Living Color, just writing, making movies,
Directing.
directing, all the stand up comedy. So they've done a lot, for Black comments and also comedy as a whole, and they help bring on like other comedians such as Jim Carrey, Jamie Foxx, Tommy Davidson, David Allen Greer that gave them, a platform to do their thing. So shouts out to the Wayans family, and it definitely needs to be like a Wayans documentary to showcase like some of the things that they've done. Like their whole family is talented. Like I even see like Damon Wayans' kids are starting to come out and do
They've been
shows and
out. They've
yeah, they've
been
been
out for
out. Yeah, it's
years.
for a while. So what I'm saying? Like their whole family and like generation after generation is still, doing their thing. So they definitely should be respected and given their flowers while they can appreciate them.
Yeah, they're basically like the Kennedys of Hollywood in a sense.
Yeah, definitely a legendary family. Their whole family is like gifted in their own way.
And one part of the interview that was interesting that I kind of knew was the truth for years was when Marlon Wayans was talking about like, pitching the Wayans brothers show to different networks, and how like NBC initially wanted the show, but they didn't want John Witherspoon.
Yeah, maybe I don't know who they would have put instead.
They thought John Witherspoon was too ghetto and all that bullshit. So they said that if he's a part of the show, we're not taking it. And they stood firm on it, saying, nah, he's not going anywhere.
Yeah, smart because he definitely helped. He was like the glue of the show. He helped bring the show together because he was a seasoned vet, and like Marlon and Sean were like it was like the first major show that they had really that they did their thing. So yeah, they definitely felt loyalty that they needed to bring them along. So shouts out to them. And plus NBC is more of like a Cosby Show type of sitcom network. So the way the Wayans brothers played out, like a lot of those jokes and a lot of those things wouldn't fly on NBC. They wouldn't have hit the mark, and they probably would have canceled it after a season.
I always knew that opening from the Wayans brothers, like when they were in the froze and they're wearing those like bright ass outfits and they're singing that song, like we're brothers, we're happy and we're singing and we're colored.
Yeah,
I knew that was a spoof off of the fact that they probably pitched the show to other networks and they
yeah,
tried to make it into something that they weren't. So I always knew that shit was kind of
like
like
a slap in
a
the face. Yeah,
mocking of them.
yeah.
Yeah,
But yeah,
makes
shouts out to
sense.
them because yeah, network wouldn't have accepted the Tribe Called Quest intro as the intro music. And yeah, man, just the Wayans Brothers was definitely a classic show, man. I definitely grew up watching that show, watching them, and it was a funny show. And they had a whole bunch of cameos, a lot of
Oh, they had guest stars
yeah,
out the
mad guest
ass,
stars.
son. They
Yeah,
had guest stars out the ass.
yeah. I remember Busta Rhymes, like mad people were on that show.
And Vogue, Missy, Pam Grier, Bernie Mac.
Yeah, a lot of people were on that show. It was dope, man. And there was a lot of other artists that ended up that were on that show that ended up blowing up. That you end up seeing them in other things later on down the line. So it was definitely a dope show.
Yeah, dope show, and I would transition into them getting into the movies, like the Don't Be a Menaces,
Yeah,
and then Scary Movie. Yeah, the Scary Movie stories were pretty interesting that he was talking about, like especially after the second one did so well, and the studio tried to lowball them, and then they ended up like not being a part of the third one, and then the studio took all their ideas. But then they went on to make White Chicks instead. They made White Chicks, and then White Chicks just blew the fuck up. And then all the different scary movies they tried to do afterwards, they all sucked.
yeah. Because what they were saying that the Weinstein brothers, who did all that shady stuff supposedly, or not supposedly, but they got locked up for it. But supposedly they stole their idea because they pitched the idea for Scary Movie 3 and they stole the idea. So that's how they were able to produce it and make it a somewhat decent. But everybody knew it wasn't the same. And then the other one, I didn't even know that they dropped the 5.
Yeah,
That's
neither did
how
I. I
bad it
forgot
was.
all about that. I remember watching the fourth one with you once, and I'm like, yo, why did you make me watch this
Yeah, it
shit?
was corny. It was mad corny. I don't even think I finished it.
Now we finished
Yeah,
it, unfortunately, but yeah, that shit was whack.
yeah, I don't remember anything that happened in it. But yeah, for the fourth and the fifth one were totally whacked. It was just I don't know what they were thinking. You can't do the Waynes like spoof parody movies without the Wayans. Like it's not gonna it's not gonna hit the same. They're known. That's what they're known for. They've been doing this since like the '80s, from what I've known. That's what that's what they're good at. And I don't know, man. They just didn't. They just killed like the franchise. It could have been a really much better franchise. They could have kept making movies till now, making fun of scary movies, but they kind of killed the idea back then. But shouts out to Marlon was still able to keep moving forward, and him and his brother still made White Chicks, which is a classic movie.
Yeah, White Chicks is great.
Definitely pushed a lot of pushed a lot of buttons, and then definitely pushed the envelope
Yeah, he even said
for that
himself
movie.
that was the hardest movie he ever had to make was that one. Like just getting
Yeah,
into makeup and the costumes every day and all that jazz. Yeah, he said that shit was challenging, son.
and then to have a movie called White Chicks and for it to be accepted without without any really like major controversy, and then and people like the movie. So and then they count with Little Man and other movies after that. So
Well,
it
yeah, Little
can't
Man
not.
I didn't like as much, admittedly. Little Man
Yeah,
was a little
it
too
wasn't all
corny.
that. Yeah, but definitely White Chicks is a classic. Everybody remembers White Chicks, and then Don't Be Menace to South Central before before those. That was definitely one of my favorite movies growing up. Definitely could recite that movie like word for word till this day. So
Yeah, that was their coming out party now that I think about it for him and
yeah,
Sean. That was like really their coming out party.
yeah. Now because I was before the Wayans brothers, right? Or
That
around the
was
same
around
time.
there was like it was like during the Wayans brothers' second season
Yeah,
when it
so it was
came
like
out.
fresh. Yeah, it was fresh. So yeah, and that's what kind of made the show blow up even more because that movie became popular at least in the hood, and then yeah, from there it blew up.
Yeah, but I mean, Sean's great. Don't get me wrong, but realistically, Marlon was more of the star because of the fact that he was able to, transition into serious movies, and it just felt like he had a little more. Like Sean's great, like I said. Don't get me wrong, Sean's great, but I can't like really see Sean like in a movie or something without Marlon.
Yeah, yeah. Marlon is the more of the, I don't know. He's more animated. Yeah, he's more creative and he does more things. He's more out there. Sean is more a little like laid back. So yeah, I get why you say that. Marlon could can do other things. But yeah, shouts out to them, man, definitely. And then also they influenced the halftime show as well because I remember that when they had like a halftime special during the Super Bowl, and that's what made the NFL start getting like the big name stars like Michael Jackson and Prince and everybody
Oh
else.
yeah, I talked about this a few months ago when we did the In Living Color anniversary. When we were
Yeah,
talking about that, I talked about the fact that like in '92, when the Super Bowl I think was on CBS, Fox actually aired a live episode of In Living Color during the halftime show, and everybody switched from the Super Bowl to In Living Color. And then from that point on, they were like, "Yo, from now on, we're booking like major A-list musicians for the fucking Super Bowl halftime show," and that's how
yeah,
they had Michael Jackson next year, and the rest is history.
yeah, that's crazy. So you gotta definitely respect the family, the Wayans brothers, man. Done a lot.
And speaking of the Super Bowl, let's actually get into our main topic of the day. It was announced yesterday that Kendrick Lamar will be the headline performer for the Super Bowl coming up in February in New Orleans.
It's nuts.
Holy shit.
What a year.
Who would have ever thought a beef with Drake and making a specific song dissing Drake becoming the number one song in the country would lead to Kendrick getting a Super Bowl halftime show?
Well, he's actually performed the Super Bowl already.
But like his own set, not like
Yeah,
not like being a cameo. I'm just saying like him actually being the headliner. Who would have ever thought this would have happened like a year ago?
yeah. I wouldn't have thought it. Yeah, a year ago, but yeah, you can't deny like the year that he's had, and not like us being pretty much the song of the summer. It makes sense for them, to come out and to use them, I guess. But I don't know, man. Causing a lot of issues because it's in Louis. This going to be in New Orleans this year, and a lot of people expect the Lil Wayne to be, the headliner this year, or at least to be a part of it. And people are kind of concerned that, or kind of shocked that it's Kendrick Lamar and not Lil Wayne. But the way I look at it, Kendrick Lamar has had like the biggest year out of everybody in a very long time, and at the end of the day, the Super Bowl is what's the Super Bowl all about? It's all about money and advertisement and bringing in the most eyes as possible. So I feel like the audience and like the eyes right now are on Kendrick Lamar, and based on the year that he's had, and he's most likely going to win a Grammy, and he's probably going to drop an album after this, that he's going to go on a run, unprecedented run. So they're just trying to take advantage while the iron is hot, and they're trying to milk it. So I look at it from a business perspective. I understand it, but I can understand the other side of it. Why everybody's upset. Why Lil Wayne is not involved.
Yeah, look, it would have been great if Lil Wayne had been booked for it. He would definitely deserve that spot considering it's New Orleans. But Kendrick admittedly is the bigger deal right now. Kendrick is white hot right now. Booking him for the Super Bowl halftime show, I have no gripes against that at all. But everybody else seems to have gripes against it. And one person specifically who was not shy to express her feelings about Kendrick getting it over Lil Wayne was one Nicki Minaj. And she let her feelings out in a whole bunch of tweets, and I'm going to read a few of them right now. Denying a young black man what he rightfully put into this game for no other reason but your ego. Your hatred for Birdman, Drake, and Nicki got you punishing Lil Wayne. Lil Wayne, the GOAT. New Orleans, what's good? Eminem stood firm on having 50 Cent come out. A white man, shit bad. And by the way, you don't know half of what Lil Wayne has done for me and others. Wayne had Drake and I on his tour with no papers signed. He was on all of my mixtapes with no papers signed. This man has literally changed the face of hip hop, the hair too. He inspired so many to tat their faces and get locks. Inspired your faves to want to be a great MC. He never was in it for the money. It's always been for the love of music.
Yeah, I don't disagree with what she said in the last part.
Yeah, but that
Yeah,
first tweet I could barely understand it. She was like just going off and going off, and everybody's saying that basically this tweet and this rant that she's going off is like pretty much directed towards Jay Z.
Yeah, so it seems like there's some issue going on between Jay Z and I guess Drake and their camp. I don't know because yeah, for them to not to pick Lil Wayne, I think it's on purpose because I feel like if Lil Wayne would have performed, he most likely would have brought out Nicki Minaj and Drake more than likely to perform. Would you agree?
Yeah, of course he would have. But then considering that they booked the dude that Drake has beef with and the dude who made a song about Drake that's like the biggest song of the whole year, I could see them being salty about that. And also, I guess yeah, there's probably
Behind the
some personal
scenes,
shit going on between them and Jay Z. Jay Z even put out a statement yesterday after the announcement was made saying that, like, yo, like Kendrick's great, Kendrick's dope, Kendrick is like really pushing the movement forward, all that good stuff.
kind of trying to get ahead of it because he knew there was going to be people talking about it because everybody expected Lil Wayne because he did an interview about it. He's from New Orleans and yeah, just only right. But at the same time, I can like I said, Kendrick Lamar has the catalog. He has the hits. He has the songs that the number ones that crossover hits that blew up and got onto pop radio type of hits. So Kendrick Lamar has the tracks to do a Super Bowl. So don't get the people shouldn't get it twisted. But at the same time, it looks like there has to be something going on for Nicki Minaj to be saying this. And then this is not the only time that in the past she's called out saying that people are blocking her, stopping her from succeeding. So maybe there is something going on between Jay Z and Jay Z and Nicki Minaj and Drake, and maybe he didn't want Lil Wayne to bring out Drake to perform in, and he tried to stick it to him even further by like you said signing Kendrick Lamar for the halftime show. So I don't know, man. Just there's a lot of coincidences that are going on, and I don't know, man. I just feel bad for Lil Wayne because he's kind of like in the middle of this whole thing, and I don't. Even if they add him to the show, like it doesn't. It's not gonna feel the same anymore. I don't know. How do you feel about that?
I mean, they could still add him to the performance. I mean, it would be kind of weird. It would kind of feel like maybe it's like a response to the backlash. And I don't know how cool him and Kendrick are even like that. So I don't know how it would click. But yo, this whole thing is still 5 months away. Anything can happen between now and then. But yeah, it seems like everybody from New Orleans or anybody who's like a hardcore Lil Wayne Young Money fan is really all in their feelings right now. And I get it. I get it to a degree, but some of it is just going too far. Some of it is just like just real sour motherfucking grapes.
Yeah,
Even Baby put out a tweet saying, hating shit for real. These niggas pussy. I'm making these niggas respect us on Gladys.
yeah. They're coming after Jay Z crazy. So I don't know how. And then another thing, from what I understood, Lil Wayne said something about Beyonce a few years ago. But I know also Jay Z's supposedly helped Lil Wayne with his taxes when he was in trouble with the IRS a few years ago. Also, so
And Lil Wayne used to idolize Jay Z. Like Lil Wayne, like said
yeah,
that Jay Z was like the reason why he wanted to become the best, and he would even say that he was like better than Jay Z in some cases to kind of like stir up some controversy. Yeah, like Jay Z was kind of to him what like Michael Jordan was to Kobe.
yeah, I definitely want to hear what Lil Wayne. A lot of people have spoken out. Birdman, Master P, Nicki Minaj. A lot of
What
people have spoken out, but I want to hear what Lil
Well,
Wayne.
Master P, well, the one thing I want to say about Master P at least had a mature response to it.
Yeah,
He said, like, yo, congrats to Kendrick, he deserves it, but I would like to see Lil Wayne be a part of it too.
yeah,
He was cool about it. He wasn't hostile about it. He didn't throw a tantrum about it. Yo, that kind of response is a mature one.
yeah. Master P is dope. Is dope. So
Stand up
yeah, I'm
dude.
glad he responded the way he did. But I'm just saying, like everybody's is responding and has something to say about it. So they definitely got to find a way to get Lil Wayne on there. But it just makes it seem like there's something bigger at play, and there's a reason why Kendrick Lamar is performing over, like say, Lil Wayne, this year. So I don't know. We'll see how it plays out. Like you said, there's time between now and the Super Bowl, but I don't know. It looks like it's gonna get ugly. But I would like to see or hear what Lil Wayne has to say about it. I want to everybody's else is talking about. I want to hear what he has to say. To say maybe he did. He said in the past he wanted to do the Super Bowl. Maybe he changed his mind. Maybe the restrictions or like what it would take to be a part of the Super Bowl. Maybe he didn't want to do that, commit to that type of work, or what they had to make him do. So maybe he didn't want to do it. So who knows what the reason was? But only Lil Wayne can tell you. But I don't know. From what it seems, everybody around him is kind of upset about it. So maybe he is upset about it and just hasn't said anything.
Yeah, and the one thing Also wanted to bring up is where was this outrage when Lil Wayne wasn't booked to do the Super Bowl like back in 2013 when it was in New Orleans? They had Beyonce as the headliner instead.
Yeah, so I don't know. It's just people are just sensitive about Kendrick Lamar right now. I think that's what it is. If it was like, say, if it was Taylor Swift who got picked instead of Kendrick Lamar this year, would everybody make a fuss? If it was Taylor Swift,
I'm sure some people would. I'm sure there's a lot of people that would because there's a lot of Taylor Swift haters out there. No matter who they booked on the Super Bowl, I'm sure somebody would complain about it.
but to this point, I don't remember them having this much backlash anytime recently over a performer.
And another point I want to bring up, Lil Wayne's great. He's definitely one of the best to ever do it. But just as a performer on stage, from the times I've seen him performed, I was not feeling it. I even saw him perform at WrestleMania earlier this year. It was a short set, but that short set, bro, that shit was not good, man. It was not good.
Yeah, man. Lil Wayne's been in the game for a minute. Kendrick is, he's hot right now. And if you look at his performances, even the Pop Out concert a few months ago, like that was a great performance. And the Mr. Morale tour last year, I think was like the highest grossing hip hop tour of all time up until recently, I believe, or it might be still the number one. And he also put on a great show. So he's a performer. He's already done the Super Bowl, so he kind of understands what it takes, a little bit at least. So what I'm saying? I understand why they went with Kendrick. That's a safer bet at this point. And like I said, Super Bowl is about money at the end of the day.
Yeah, and it's also about who would put on the best performance because, like I said, the times I've seen Lil Wayne perform, I was not really impressed. Some people are just really good with recording songs in the studio and doing all that, but when it comes to performing on stage and putting on that show for the audience, it just doesn't click the same.
And then recently, like when was the last time Lil Wayne had like a major hit song? He's had tracks definitely on the underground where he's spitting his and doing his thing. He's definitely had songs, definitely that have been bubbling. But I'm talking about when has he had like a big crossover hit? When was the last time he had, one of those undeniable hits that everybody knew? It's been a while.
Long time.
Yeah, it's been a long time. And Kendrick is, Latin like us is like the biggest track right now. And Apple Music, Rock Nation, all these people care about are numbers and making money. So at the end of the day, they got to make the sponsors happy. They got to make people happy and make money. So they're going to go with Kendrick over Lil Wayne,
Well, since it'll
unfortunately.
be the time frame and since all this shit's going on, I would have an idea for a mixed tag team match for WrestleMania: Jay Z and Beyonce against Lil Wayne and Nicki Minaj.
Yeah, that would be dope.
Shit would make crazy money, son. Yo, but in some more positive news about Lil Wayne, it came out a few days ago that there is going to be an official Hot Boys reunion at the Lilweezyanafest in November. It's going to be Wayne, it's going to be Juvenile, it's going to be BG, Turk. Yeah, the whole crew's getting back together for it. So even if people are pissed off about Wayne not doing the Super Bowl in New Orleans, yo, at least they're going to get this, bro. And this shit looks like it'll be dope. This shit looks like it'll be mad fun.
Yeah, maybe this is the reason why he's not doing a Super Bowl because maybe he wouldn't, he couldn't do it his way. So maybe this is him throwing his own concert. That's
Yeah, and
gonna kind
that's
of like be his Super Bowl.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. Like, if you really are like fans of Lil Wayne, Young Money, and all that, go out and support that show. Go out and make that show a big deal.
Yeah, maybe that's why he came out with the show. Maybe him and Jay Z talk. He's like, nah, I ain't trying to do that. I'm just gonna do this instead. Have my own little festival, ahead of time, so I can, bring my hot boys back together, and it'll be a moment for the city, and people would embrace it because that's more of a New Orleans thing. I think the New Orleans would like that, and because I think if you had Lil Wayne, I think it would make sense for New Orleans, but as the on a world stage, I think Kendrick Lamar would make more sense just right now. And it would make sense for Lil Wayne just to have a separate festival where you can, get the praise and love from his home fans who are really from Louisiana. Because if you think about the Super Bowl, it's a lot of people from all over the world, not just Louisiana. So this makes more sense for him, I think.
Yeah, definitely. It sounds mad fire, and I'm sure you're bummed that you're not going to be able to go. I know you were really
Yeah.
big into Cash Money during that period when they were hot.
Yeah, they were definitely one of the best groups, especially in the 2000s. They definitely all of them did their thing, had their solo albums, and the Hot Boys they had that a couple albums as well. Before they went their separate ways, and life happens. But yeah, definitely dope to see them come back together and put their differences aside and do it for the fans, even though they might not get along. But it's dope that they're getting back together at least for this one night, and it'll definitely be a moment for the city.
Yeah, check it out. It's gonna be November 2nd.
Yeah, that's what's up. So
But let's get into some sad, unfortunate news. As this past week, Atlanta's own rich homie Quan died suddenly at only 34 years old.
yeah, it's sad, man.
And he was found by his girlfriend to be unresponsive after he'd been sleeping on the couch all night. And even that morning, she had left to take her son to school, and she found him sleeping on the couch and like put a blanket over him. And then when she came back from taking their son to school, she found him like still lying on the couch, and then she came to find out that his heart wasn't beating, he wasn't responding. And then when she tried to like turn him on his side, he started foaming at the mouth. And yeah,
Yeah,
he didn't make it, unfortunately.
damn, it's just sad, man. Like he's just really young and it seemed like he was starting to come back out. Like he's been out, he hasn't been out for a while, and he was starting to start put some songs out here and do interviews and things like that. So damn, it's just so sad, man. Like I remember when he was first came out, like him and Young Thug were on like a crazy run between like the early like the 2014 to like 2016.
Yeah, like 2013, I remember. I think Type
Yeah,
of Way came out like around 2013 ish. Yeah, give or take.
yeah, my type of way. When I walk through lifestyle, when all those songs were like really big hits
I
at that
remember. Yeah, I
time. And
remember.
then even my hitter, that song he was on the chorus of that song, which was another
That's
big
not what
song.
it's really called.
I know, but I'm trying to be political, my nigga. But but that definitely was another big song, and there were definitely a lot of other songs that they dropped throughout the years. But yeah, just sad to see that he passed at such young age.
And with a family and everything too. It hasn't been ruled that it was an overdose, but that's what people are
Some people are saying.
speculating that it was, and that's what it
I
seems
don't
like it
know,
was.
man. It's just kind of weird that his name came up in the Young Thug trial the other day, and they were talking about it.
Yeah, he was supposed to
Yeah,
testify soon for the trial.
yeah, it was supposed to testify. So I don't know, man. I don't know. That kind of raises a red flag to to me at least. But I don't know, man. We'll see what happens with the autopsy report comes back. But it's just a sad situation. Just never. It looked like he was about to get over all because he was on that big run, and then all the politics and label issues. He stopped making music for a while, and it's hard to like get back in the routine and back in the rhythm, especially as the level that he reached. It's hard to get back to that level, and he was trying to come back out, and then this happened. So
Yeah, just unfortunate, man. Another rapper gone too soon. It seems like these stories come out all too often these days. I feel like at least once a month we get a story coming out about a rapper dying randomly, and some of them I never even heard of before.
yeah, it's just getting too much. And then even Fat Man Scoop passed
Last week,
away.
yeah, a week and a half ago.
A big a lot right before that, and definitely he was another legend in New York. Come from Harlem. He was on the radio. He had a whole bunch of club like bangers back in like the late '90s, early 2000s. So, and definitely one of like the most one of the most recognizable voices, popular hype man back at that time, and his voice was recognizable. Did work with Missy, a lot of different people. So it's just sad that seeing somebody else lost at the same time.
You can't listen to Out of Control from Missy without, yeah, hearing his voice. Yeah, he's one of the most recognizable parts of the song.
Yeah, and then when he remixed the Faith Evans "Love Like
Love
This,"
Like This, yeah,
everybody
oh
knows.
shit. That was one of my favorite songs to hear at a club. Every time I would go to clubs and they would play that shit, I would always fucking lose it.
Yeah, that song in the club, man, everybody goes
Oof.
crazy. And he had a whole bunch of other ones too. He had a bunch of other ones at that time. But yeah, man, shout out to Fat Man Scoop. He's a legend in his own right. It sucks that he didn't get the flowers. Same thing with like Rich Homie Quan. He didn't get the flowers while he was here because they died so young. But we should have appreciated them while they were here. But hopefully their family can see that they were loved and they contributed to the game, how they shifted the culture. But then both of them gone too soon
Yeah, and I think I saw that there was like actual footage showing of like him like passing out like
at
after
the
he
show.
drank an energy drink at a show, and that's ultimately when he died or
Yeah,
what led to him dying.
yeah. I know he had some health
Yeah.
issues, but yeah, I don't. Who knows what
Yeah,
happened?
so I mean, yeah, I hate to say it, but like, somebody his size, especially at an older age, if you're not taking care of yourself and also if you're drinking those energy drinks, yeah, that shit is definitely can lead to problems.
You know. Yeah. So I don't know what happened, but yeah, man, definitely gotta take care of yourself no matter what, and yeah, stay away from certain things.
Yeah, those energy drinks I never really was a fan of. I don't know if that's like what led to his death. I'm not sure if that was like the main contributing factor, but it's clear that he probably wasn't in the best of health. Whether that was because of something that he was doing or not doing or some other issues, Yeah, it was obvious that he wasn't in good shape, but still sad
Yeah, it's sad.
nonetheless.
Yeah, for real.
Yeah, so rest in peace to Rich Homie Quan, rest in peace to Fat Man Scoop. Neither one of you will ever be forgotten. And yeah, it's very sad that you guys were taken from your families and taken from your friends a lot sooner than you should have been.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's get into some more positive news. Let's get into some of our anniversaries for today. As this past week marked the 33-year anniversary of Naughty by Nature's second album, simply titled Naughty by Nature.
It's a
And this
creative
album
title.
featured their crossover hit, the hit they're probably most known for, besides probably Hip Hop Array, OPP.
Definitely, Naughty by Nature was that the OPP track and that album is definitely up there back in the '90s. You know, they were one of like the biggest groups, and that song I felt like was like getting played for like a year, over a year straight after it came out. Like that's how big that song was, and
Yeah,
it was going on for a long time.
honestly, looking back at it now, that's like one of my first early memories of hip hop was like that song.
Yeah,
Also, Mama Said Knock You Out from LL Cool J, Can't Touch This from MC Hammer. Yeah, OPP was like one of my first early memories of hip hop. Yeah, that shit was
yeah,
tough. That shit was rugged. It was definitely Jersey vibes, but yo, that shit still crossed over. That was like one of the first like real hip hop songs to cross over like that, especially that style of hip hop song for that matter.
yeah. It definitely was a big track.
Huge
It
track.
also definitely had a good sample, and then yeah, Naughty by Nature, they were just like in the video, they came off as hardcore. They made a lot of party anthems that people could, get hyped to when they're going out and partying and whatnot. So definitely a dope East Coast album. And they also had a couple other joints on here. They had the Uptown Anthem.
Oh,
Was
Uptown
another
Anthem
dope
is
track.
dope. Uptown
Yeah,
Anthem is dope. They play that song at the end of Juice, actually.
yeah. So that was on. Yeah, definitely was on there. And Everything is gonna be all right was another dope track that was on there. So they had some joints on there. And then as you know, Naughty by Nature would be around for a minute. They came out with a couple albums after that that were well known and were received well. And a lot of people wanted to be like Tretch. Like Tretch was like one, a lot of people's favorite rapper at that time, like Method Man as well. So a lot of people like that hardcore, rugged, type of vibe. And so yeah, definitely. Shouts out to Naughty by Nature. Definitely one of the hottest groups of the '90s, early '90s for real.
Oh, definitely. And OPP made it to like number 6 on the Billboard charts.
Yeah, definitely.
That's ridiculous for like early 90s hip hop, for like a hip hop song of like that style to rank that high in the Billboard charts. Holy shit.
Yeah, that song did numbers, yo.
I'll never forget the time they played it on Fresh Prince of Bel Air and even Jeffrey was jamming to it.
Yeah, everybody knew that song.
He's like, "You down with OPP?" Yeah, you know me. Yo,
Yep.
that shit
They
was
had
so.
t-shirts. They had everything. They had a lot going on. So shouts out to them.
Yeah,
Definitely impacted the culture.
yeah, that track slapped. The album also slapped. Yeah, it was good to see Naughty by Nature really cross over with this record, and it would lead to even more success as the '90s went on. I love the title for the next album after this, 1993. Yo, how creative is that
Yeah,
shit?
definitely. Oh, that was dope. And that was they had the Hip Hop Parade mad joints on that album.
And then
I had that
and
one
then the
too.
album after that, they had that "Here We Go"
Feel Me
track.
Flow.
Here we go now. Here we go. Yeah.
The Feel Me Flow. Yeah. Yeah, that was another yeah, they had a bunch of hits. They had a nice run from like that 91 to like 94, 95. They had a nice run.
Yeah, they did. And it's funny, Tretch was originally supposed to play Bishop in Juice, and he actually brought Tupac with him to the audition, and Tupac just auditioned for the hell of it, and then Tupac ended up getting the part.
Yeah.
Although Tretch was still in the movie, he had a cameo as one of the dudes, that Spanish dude in Juice that had beef with the Bishop character who kept fucking with him.
Yeah.
He was like one of the dudes in his crew.
Yeah, I remember.
Yeah, so shout out to Naughty by Nature for putting out this classic record and also that classic track. And yeah, part of hip hop history, especially our early years of getting into hip hop.
Yeah, for real.
Okay, so let's fast forward to 5 years later. Speaking of Tupac, it was on September 7th, 1996. Tupac and Suge Knight were leaving a Mike Tyson fight, and they were driving down the street, and they made it to the intersection of Caval and Flamingo Road, an intersection I know very well from living in Vegas for 6 years. I actually worked 2 blocks away from that intersection, and then a
Mhm.
car pulled up to theirs, fired up a bunch of shots, and that would ultimately lead to Tupac dying just 6 days later.
Yeah, just sad, man. Just
Fucking A, son. Fucking A, son.
yeah, it was crazy. Just at that time, Tupac was wild and reckless, and so had a lot of bad energy around him. Just the way he was moving.
Hell, he got into a fight right
Yeah,
before that happened. There was that footage from of like him and Suge Knight beating up that one gang member
yeah,
at the casino, like right before this happened.
yeah. Like Tupac was like a hot head at that time. He was just out. He was like out of control. He was wilding, doing whatever, saying whatever. So yeah, just got into it, and yeah, man, just I guess another gang member, and then they did something happen, or nobody, or supposedly Diddy had something to do with it. Some people are saying so, allegedly.
Oh, speaking
Just
of Diddy, I don't know if you saw he reunited with G Dep yesterday.
yeah, I saw that. Who knows? I guess he's trying to come back out, trying to see if people like him.
I don't know
But
what the hell Diddy can do for him now. I don't think
yeah,
anybody's touching Diddy anytime, probably ever again.
well, God bless G Dep, man. Maybe he just doesn't know any better.
Maybe.
He's been gone for a while. But anyways, man, maybe some people saying Tupac has something to do with it. Some people may saying that maybe it was like a gang related incident, had something to do with that fight that happened, a few minutes earlier. But either way, man, definitely remember, when this happened, and I felt like he was gonna pull through because he pulled through from all the other times that he got shot. Because he got shot a few times before this, but unfortunately, this was the one that took him out. It was just sad that we lost a legend from this.
Yeah, and it was very eerie, like always passing by that intersection. Like every time I would be driving to and from work, I'd be like, yo, this is exactly where Tupac got shot. Suge Knight obviously got shot too, but he survived. And if I had to take a guess, I would say it was probably related to that fight that happened earlier that night. It had to be.
So hopefully, according to Diddy, that's what happened. So
If I had to take a guess of like, why that happened, that would probably be the best guess I can come up with.
yeah, maybe some type of retaliation or so or
Yeah.
something. But
But you're not lying though. Tupac was really wilding during his time in death row. I could even tell by listening to All Eyes on Me, as great of an album as it is, I could just tell his energy was different and he was a lot angrier. He was a lot, I guess, more hostile to whoever his enemies were. Yeah, it was
yeah,
definitely a different Tupac compared to the albums before. And you could definitely credit a lot of that difference in Tupac to his time on death row and probably the people he had around him.
yeah, definitely was the Wilding Out. He was making diss tracks, calling it fighting with the whole East Coast.
Ah, you love
A
that
lot
trick. This track. What are you talking about?
No, I know. I'm just saying, like he made a lot of diss tracks, and he was going after Nas, Mobb Deep, Biggie, everybody pretty much on the East Coast, and then he even made the Machiavelli album before he passed away. Well, yeah, before he passed away. So anytime you like have that kind of energy around you, like something bad is about to happen. So just sad.
Yeah, in some cases, even if you're not even a part of that shit and you're not like involving yourself in that shit, just being around those kind of people who are could put you in a bad place.
Yeah, so just
Could be your demise.
sad to see somebody so talented, actor, rapper, he activist. He spoke up on a lot of issues, a lot of dope on interviews, and to see him gone like such a young age, people forget he was only like 20 something, 27 years old,
25 years old.
and 25 years old when he passed away. Like he was mad young, so it was crazy.
I was curious, like when you first heard he got shot, did you think he was gonna survive? Did you just think like, oh, he'll be okay in a few days, it'll be all good, or did you like actually think there was a chance he could die?
I thought he was gonna pull through because they didn't say he died right away, and it was kind of like sketchy on like the details up until like when he passed away. Kind of days later, so nobody knew what to expect. But I kind of felt like he was gonna pull through because he did like two or three other times. So
Yeah, he had just gotten shot 2 years earlier, the whole Quad
yeah,
Studios incident. And even
yeah,
Biggie said that himself, like in that Rap City interview, where when he heard like Pac got shot during that time, he was like, oh, okay, he'll be fine. He's gonna make a record about it, call it a day, and make money off of it. But then once he found out that he actually died, he's like, fuck.
yeah. Everybody thought he was gonna pull through. Nobody actually thought it was gonna happen.
And I'll be honest, that was like the first real celebrity death I can remember in my lifetime that like shocked me, and I just like couldn't
Yeah,
believe it when I heard the news.
yeah. It was crazy.
That was a crazy year. And who would have thought, like, for him to be, like, pretty much at the height of his popularity at the time in 96, that he would be dead by the end of the year?
Yeah, it was nuts.
Yeah, but rest in peace to Tupac. I hope that case eventually is solved whenever that does
Hope so
happen,
too.
sooner or later. It might
God
not even
praise
be
him.
until long after we're gone. But regardless of that, that dude's legacy and his impact on the game, the culture, and just society as a whole, that shit will never be forgotten either.
Yeah,
Just like
for real.
Rich Homie Quan and Fat Man Scoop.
Yeah, R.I.P. to all of them.
And yeah, it's sad. This whole episode is kind of like death centered in many ways because
Yeah, it's
we
not.
talked about the Rich Homie Quan and Fat Man Scoop, also Pac when he got shot in '96, and that's actually going to lead us into our next anniversary as we have another sad one. As 6 years ago, we had the untimely death of Mac Miller at just 26 years old, and he was another rapper from recent times who did, yes, die of an overdose.
Yeah, just sad. Like, just shows you that. Well, I don't know. You probably remember this more than me. I just remember that. Yeah, it was definitely drug related, and it just sad that there's like a generation that I don't know that's cool with talking about taking drugs in their music. Not to say that the rappers when I grew up didn't do that, but I don't know to the level that they're talking about it these days. It's like they're promoting it like in a bad way these days, like on a whole nother level. And I don't know, there's like a culture of kids like popping pills and doing perks and this and that. I don't know. And some of these kids take it to the extreme and they get hooked and addicted to it, and then it takes them out, or they get a bad batch or something, and then something bad happens. So just sad to see that Mac Miller was taken away. Man, he was definitely somebody who was from the was appreciated in the culture. He wasn't a culture vulture. People loved and respected him. He had some dope songs, made a lot of impact, a lot of, especially in this like the skater world and those hipster type of crowd. So he was definitely a legend, and he was definitely a dope artist and talked about a lot of different things, and it was like not like one dimensional. So it was just sad to see him go, and it was like kind of unexpected as well to see him pass so young.
Yeah, I'll never forget hearing the news that day, just like scrolling on my Facebook and just getting that news. I just said, what the fuck? Mac Miller's dead?
He was in movies too, like he was doing a lot of stuff, right?
Yeah, he'd been around for a minute. He was like the first, I remember, yeah, Mac Miller was like the first person in like 16 years to have an independent debut go to number one on the Billboard charts.
Yeah,
I always liked his vibe. I can't say that I was like a hardcore fan of Mac Miller and I
yeah, same
listened to him
here.
religiously. The songs I did hear of him and the times I did listen to him, I said like, yo, this dude is dope. He has like a real, his music is very musical.
And
That's the way I could put it
relatable
best.
too, relatable.
Yeah, relatable. Also, just his music in general, like just from the way he makes his voice sound, the way he sings, and the instruments in the background, it just creates a mood. That's
Yeah,
the best way I could describe his music. My best friend El Rahmani, shout out to him. He is a huge, gigantic fan of Mac Miller. That's like the main artist he always gives flowers to, talks about. I think, in his opinion, Mac Miller is probably the perfect artist.
yeah. Well, I don't know if there's a perfect artist, but yeah, he's definitely dope in his own right. And yeah, man, just crazy. Like he just passed away so soon. And just going back to my earlier topic, he actually was in Scary Movie 5.
I didn't see that shit.
Yeah, I didn't. I know, but I remember seeing it like a clip or something. I remember he was in a couple movies though.
I remember he was with Ariana Grande also, who actually kind of got
Yeah,
blamed when he died because
yeah, that's true.
like right before he died, they had broken up, and then right after they broke up, she got engaged to another guy.
Yeah, so maybe that had something to do with it because I know if you see your girl who's famous and then she's with some other dude all over the internet in tabloids and social media, and then if you're in somebody that has a problem, it could take you over the edge.
It's unfair to blame her for that because at the end of the day, she can't be responsible for what he does with his own body and for his actions. I mean, I'm sure she probably stuck around for him for as long as she could. She probably dealt with a lot of shit with his problems, but you can't blame her for the dude dying. That's not on her.
Yeah, she wasn't there when it happened, so it's not her fault.
And she didn't give him the drugs or like some laced up drugs that caused him to die, which is actually what ended up being found out a couple years later. There were at least three people who were arrested and actually charged with his death.
Yeah, that's what I heard. Yeah, yeah, they definitely did something.
Yeah, apparently he had been given some like lace drugs or something along those lines, and yeah, that's what ultimately led to
Yeah,
him dying.
yeah, it's fucked up out here, man. Stay away from drugs, man.
Yeah, you're not lying. It is a crazy drug culture we've kind of been living in this last decade. A lot of rappers in a way kind of promoted in a way like it wasn't promoted when we were younger. I
Yeah,
mean, yeah, we've had rappers who promote smoking weed. We have rappers who promote getting drunk and
drinking.
all
Yeah,
that. But there's like in recent years, like the rappers who promote like drinking lean, scissor, and like sniffing
perks,
coke and yeah, popping the
pills.
pills. All this like wild hardcore shit.
Yeah, that's crazy. It's a whole nother level. It wasn't like that. They were more conscious back then about the message they were sending to the kids. There was like one or two, maybe there was one or two who were like that, but who were like maybe like out there like that, talking about that kind of stuff. But it wasn't like a big chunk of the rappers or artists are talking about it like how it is now.
Before recently, like before these last few years of all these rappers we've been hearing dying of overdoses, the only one I can think of that actually died of one was Old Dirty Bastard.
Yeah, exactly. That was the only one. Nobody else.
Yeah, it's some scary shit, man. And even if you listen to Mac Miller's music, you could definitely tell that he had addiction issues.
Yeah, for real.
Yeah, he did not hide that shit at
And he
all.
used the music as kind of like therapy for getting through everything.
Yeah, kind of like Amy Winehouse. Yeah, very similar to Amy Winehouse.
Yeah, another one I was gone too soon. Very talented.
Yeah, extremely talented. The album that came out after he died, Circles, I actually got to listen to it the other night for the first time in a while. And yeah, it's incredible. And just unfortunate that he couldn't be alive to see like the response to it.
Yeah, that's how it happens. Fortunately.
Yeah, great artist, gone way too soon. But regardless of all that, his music will always live on. And that's his contribution to the world. His music will live forever. And that way he will always kind of be a part of the world in a sense. Yeah, rest in peace to him. And before we get out of here, King Khan, let our listeners know how they can follow us on social media as well as listen to past episodes of the podcast.
Yeah, if you want to check out past episodes of the podcast, you can visit shiftingtheculturepodcast.com. There you can also catch up on the past episodes and learn more about us. And then if you want to follow us on social media at Shifting the Culture Podcast, if you want to have any topics that you have for us, or if you want to debate anything that we've discussed on this last episode or any prior episodes, feel free to reach out to us.
Holler at us, let us know what you think. We'd be more than happy to discuss our opinions and even disagree on them in a respectful way. And yeah, honestly, I'm not sure who's more pissed off right now between like hardcore Lil Wayne fans and hardcore Beyonce fans because it just came out today that Beyonce was snubbed for the Country Music Awards
Yeah, I'm not surprised.
for a country
I'm
album.
not surprised.
I mean, I don't really listen to country music like that, but I'm sure it was a good album for what it was. But I mean, what are you gonna do?
Yeah, I'm not a country fan, so I never listened to the album anyway. So I don't know. I can't really judge.
I wonder if for actual fans, like actually really listen to it from start to finish, or they're just saying this because they like Beyonce and just like think she could do no wrong in their eyes.
Yeah, who knows, man? Like you can't. It's kind of hard to judge if you're not in the country realm. It's kind of hard to say. Plus, the other dude that came, the Shabuzi, what's his name? That came out with the "Everybody Getting Tipsy" song. That's like a big country song. That like pretty much like been like the number one song all year. It crossed over. Yeah,
That Jelly Roll dude's pretty dope. That dude Jelly Roll.
yeah. So they're like Beyonce. I don't think is like in that lane. I don't think they respect her like that yet. Maybe she needs to do a little bit more work. I mean, so we'll see.
Yeah, we will see. But regardless, we're going to be here for a long time to come, breaking you off with our hip hop knowledge, everything going on in this crazy world of hip hop, and what we love and hate about it at the same time. But until next time, for King Khan, this is Conscious Kurt with another edition of the Shifting the Culture podcast. Take care. Enjoy the rest of your week. And whether you are an old school head or a new school head, always respect the culture.
Peace.
Have a good one.